absolutely brilliant first half, sensational. 4-0 didn't flatter them, it could have been an awful lot more. Isak could have had a hat-trick in that first half. Just wasn't falling for him, but he got his goal in the second half. Great finish. Seen him do that so many times. It's just falling, he just passes it straight into the corner. Did what they had to do second half, made the changes, took off key players, got a little bit of rest into them, prepare for Villa at the weekend.
The public address system, they played the Stone Roses on Sunday after beating Man United, which probably didn't go down well with what was left of the travelling contingent. And now they're playing the Crystal Palace anthem, Glad All Over, but the away fans are joining in. Bit of Mickey taking from Newcastle with the choices of music, but they'll celebrate a massive victory. And we talked about how this could have been more difficult than Manchester United on Sunday. They ended up winning by a greater margin. Yeah, they did. To be fair, I thought we played an awful lot better than we did against Manchester United. I thought we were brilliant. I thought in that first half we were sensational. Some of the football we played, the energy levels, the intensity that we played at was absolutely first class. Tonali is just, he's a machine. It's incredible the energy levels that he's got. He seems to be a move ahead of everybody else as well. He just sees things an awful lot quicker. And that's opposition players as well, you know, especially in those defensive areas. He was sensational again tonight. He was absolutely brilliant. To be fair, they all were, you know, but he's just, at this moment in time, he's just on a different level to everybody else. Players doing their lap of the pitch. We'd like your messages about the game. WhatsApp and text. Start your messages with BBC. The WhatsApp number 08000 321 333. And if you're texting, it's 81333. Or you can send us a message on X at BBC Newcastle. Ando will be here till 10 along with Colin White, who'll be back in a second. Finally, for the moment, John Anderson, Crystal Palace beaten here, 6 wins in a row in all competitions. Aston Villa last night did so well to nearly take it to extra time against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. They are a very good team. It's going to be a hard game. It's a crucial game in the Champions League race, but Newcastle could not go into it in any better form or shape, could they? No, it's a game against two sides that play a similar type of game. High press game, high energy, closing down, trying to pinch the ball back high up the pitch. But the form that we're in at the minute, you wouldn't be afraid going anywhere, to be quite honest. The way they're playing at this moment in time, they're absolutely sensational at the minute. We'll be with you from 4:30 on Saturday, a 5:30 kickoff live on BBC Radio Newcastle and also on the BBC Sounds app on Saturday afternoon. But with you tonight until 10 to go through a brilliant win against Crystal Palace. Newcastle United hit 5 goals. Nick Pope also saved a penalty at 1-0, and they have moved up to 3rd in the table, boosting the goal difference in the process. Newcastle United 5, Crystal Palace 0.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
This morning on the show, Jim came on to win Newcastle United tickets, and rather than answering a question, he just wanted me to hand them over.
I don't get to many games now then, just give us a ticket.
Jim, if it was up to me, I would. Unfortunately, it's not up to me. However, the good news is Jim got his question right and he's off to the game tonight. Tomorrow morning, we have tickets to give away for Sunderland's Easter Monday game against Blackburn. So if you're red and white, it's your turn tomorrow. I shall see you tomorrow morning from 6 with those tickets and all the usual bits and bobs.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
5-0, 6 wins in a row, 3rd in the Premier League table, biggest win for Newcastle United in the Premier League since the 8 at Sheffield United at the start of last season, the biggest win here since the 6-1 over Spurs at the end of the season before. It has been an extraordinary night at St James's Park. Newcastle United 5, Crystal Palace 0. Jacob Murphy after 14 minutes with a a shot that we will debate whether he intended it or not in just a minute with John Anderson. Then Crystal Palace missed a penalty, a huge opportunity that was, to level the game, and a dreadful penalty from Eberechi Eze after what felt like an interminably long VAR check. And then just a couple of minutes later, they were made to pay for it. Newcastle United made it 2, with a Mark Gahey own goal, becoming just the second man to score 2 own goals against the same team in the same season. Jamie Carragher against Spurs about 15-16 years ago was the other one, but Harvey Barnes had done all the work there. Alexander Isak had opportunities in the first half, did eventually get his goal later on, but 2 in injury time in the first half. One from Harvey Barnes on the breakaway, one from Fabian Schär with a lovely header from a lovely cross from Jacob Murphy. It was 4 at half time, it was 5 less than 15 minutes into the second half, with Alexander Isak finally putting to bed conversations about when he's going to score his next goal. Not an awful lot happened in the final half hour, but as far as Newcastle are concerned, that really didn't matter, because they were already well clear by that stage. Send your messages to us and let us know who and what impressed you most from tonight. There is a recurring theme when it comes to who that I'll come back to in a moment. 08000 321 333, 08000 321 333 if it's a WhatsApp message, or 81333 if it is a text message, 81333. Start all of your messages with the letters BBC. John Anderson, man of the match. Not you, I mean pick your man of the match.
Tonali for me,
Yep.
but it could have been one or two others. I just think he's playing at a level ahead of everybody else at this moment in time. He just seems to move ahead of everyone else, and that includes the opposition as well. When he gets in those, when he's in those defensive areas, he reads the game so well. He reads what the opposition are going to do. He's got a huge engine in him. He's going as quick at 90 odd minutes as he was in the first minute. He covers the ground so well. Very rarely gives the ball away. Passes it so well. He's just a machine at the minute. He really is. He's just head and shoulders above everybody at the moment.
We had a couple of messages that came in actually before the end of the game, one from Billing Darlington and another from Mickey, who's a Gateshead fan but who's been listening to us tonight. Mickey said, sounded very impressive tonight, but I'd like to ask Ando if he thinks Jacob Murphy's in the running for Newcastle's player of the season. And Billing Darlington says, evening lads, does Ando think Murphy might get a call up in the next England squad?
May well do. Yeah, I don't see why not. If he keeps performing the way that he is, he's got every chance of making that England squad. As far as, yeah, he could come in for Player of the Year. It's going to be a tough one to call this year, because there's been so many real top contenders. You know, Trippier's come back in and he's been sensational. Livramento's gone to left back, and we worried about when Hall got injured, but looks like he's played there all his career. You know, he looks just so comfortable, so at ease. It's a sensational midfield three. They complement each other so well. Prior to the last couple of games, you would have said Isak was probably in line, but he's missed one or two chances, which is which is so unusual. I mean, he's missed a host full of chances tonight, but he's got his goal. He's been absolutely sensational. Barnes got his goal since getting into the side. He's been brilliant as well. You know, so there's so many players who are just playing. Can they play any better? I don't know. I don't know whether they can perform any better, but individually they've all been sensational, and as a collective unit they've been brilliant. I mean, tonight, as I say, in that first half they were unbelievably good. They were brilliant. Just before we talk to Adrian, who's a Newcastle fan, whose thoughts we will get in just a second, I'm going to read out one message which has got it's not a negative, it's just a slight disappointment, and it's from Dave in Biker. But in fairness to Dave, I had written this down as a talking point for you in the next sort of 20 minutes as well, or so, is Nick Pope. So Dave in Biker says, brilliant. Only real concern is Nick Pope. I don't think we can expect to compete at the very top with a goalkeeper who drops clangers every 7 or 8 games and didn't cover himself in glory tonight, said Dave. I'm not too sure what he's doing coming for that. No. You know, he's coming such a long way that if you come that distance, you've got to make sure you get there. Penalty I think some are given, some aren't, to be quite honest. There was contact. If it had been at the other end, we'd have been screaming penalty, no doubt about that. But the annoying thing about it is how long it took. Even when he went to the screen, he couldn't make his mind up. He didn't know, is it a penalty, is it not? So it took forever. But I just think if a goalkeeper's coming that distance, he's got to make sure he's getting there, and he didn't get there.
And credit to David Prada, who sent us a message before the game saying it was going to be 5-0, and it was 5-0.
Did he back it?
He says, I'll collect my winnings, says Dave. So he says, stick with me, Ando, I'll go and collect my winnings. So,
he doesn't tell you how much, though, does he?
No, he'll keep the vast majority.
Exactly.
So he should. Let's bring in Adrian then, who's a Newcastle fan who joins us on the line. Good evening, Adrian.
Hello, Ando. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, amazing game. Just driving back now. What a game that was. I tried to get on earlier just to say we needed a win today to go into the Villa game. We just had to get that win, and we'd go in there with confidence down to Birmingham, and that's what we're going to do now. We're flying. And Jacob Murphy, what goal and an assist. That goal was a fantastic goal, amazing. And he got a song tonight. I was trying to get on last week to say Jacob Murphy needs a song. He got it tonight. They were singing in the Gallagher end, Jacob Murphy. It wasn't very loud, but I heard it, and let's keep that behind Jacob Murphy. And he was amazing. He was amazing, and the whole team were. And we also said, should Harvey Barnes start? Absolutely the right decision there. Fantastic game. He was so direct, and the goal he scored against Man U, that was like Peter Beardsley-esque. That was. He just went direct, beat a couple of players, and then top corner, and that's what he was like tonight. Direct, great. We're fabulous. And Tonali, he's just a class apart, absolute class apart. He is. He's got to be the best midfielder in the world. I mean, he's just amazing. All over. What a performance!
Best midfielder in the world, Sandro Tonali, right now. Go on, Ando.
He's been sensational. He's brilliant. I thought he was. He seems to get better game by game. He was terrific again tonight. I can't disagree with anything that you've said. I think Barnes deserves to stay in the side. I think Gordon's great. I think his energy and everything about him, but I think Barnes is a bigger goal threat than Gordon, if I'm perfectly honest. Yeah. And when he gets through, when he gets through, you always think that he's going to finish it off. Where with Anthony Gordon, you're not convinced that he's going to score, but with this boy, he backs himself. He fancies himself to stick it in the top corner. Murphy's been, somebody just texted in there, will he get in an England squad? If he keeps performing the way that he is, there's no reason in the world why he shouldn't. I mean, everybody tonight were sensational, but Tonali is, for me, he's just on a different level to everybody else at the moment. I think he's brilliant.
Adrian, we're going to leave it there. There's loads of people want to talk because it was such a good game.
Sleep well tonight, Adrian. Enjoy.
Safe rest of journey home, first of all, Adrian. Thank you very much indeed. 0800 234 6565 is the number to call. If we can't get you on tonight, we will get you on Total Sport tomorrow. Just before we talk to Anas, I want to read you this message from Gareth Andrew, who says, another great performance, fantastic radio coverage. Thank you, Gareth. Is anyone else glad we've still got Dan Burn playing ahead of signing Mark Gahey last summer for £70 million? Gahey got pulled and dragged all over the place. Burn is a mighty man, says Gareth.
Oh, he's a mighty man, all right. He's a big man.
He's a very, very good centre-half, Mark Gahey. He just happens to have scored own goals in both games against Newcastle.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He was a little bit unlucky. I mean, that could have happened to anybody. It's a cross that just deflects off him. Keeper's already committed. There's not a great deal that he can do, to be fair. But it is what it is. Will they go for him again in the summer? We'll wait and see. I mean, the summer's going to be really interesting, actually. The way things are going at this moment in time. Jacob Murphy, did anybody see this form coming? Can he get better? We'll see.
I wonder if Jacob Murphy has taken himself off a lot of people's list of players that they would happily have seen depart in the summer for a fee. Yeah, but wouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, the right hand side has been a position that we've spoke about and talked about that needed strengthening. I still think it does. It probably does. I still think they'll look to bring somebody in on that right side. But I think it's been shown in the last couple of games that Murphy got taken off tonight. Barnes went to the right. He can operate there.
Yeah.
Gordon can operate there, but you want competition in all areas of the pitch. You know, you want two in all areas of the pitch, and I think if you can get that, then everybody's got to play to a certain level to make sure they stay in the side, and that's the way it is at the moment. You know, you can't. I know people go on about, oh well, it's the same players who are playing game in, game out, but when you're playing as well as that, when you're winning games the way that they're winning games, nobody wants to come out of the side. We talk about fatigue and tiredness. Yes, it does creep into it, but when you're winning games, you find that energy, you find that extra level of energy. It's a different scenario if you're losing games. That tiredness, it's
well, again, it's 6 identical starting lineups in a row, and it's 6 wins in a row.
And they've been absolutely. They've got better game by game as well. That's the biggest thing. It's amazing, really. You know, since the cup final, the league form has got better game by game by game. And we'll probably have to up at another level again come Villa at the weekend. Yeah,
let's bring in Anas, who's been listening to this conversation, but who also was trying to talk to us before the match started on Total Sport, and who was cut off in his prime. I presume, Anas, you were just about to predict a 5-0 victory when your line went earlier.
5-2 actually. So I was probably 5/7 of the way there, but I feel absolutely. I was only smug, but I kind of feel like I've actually stood my ground correctly in terms of calling it a goal fest, because it was. It said practice for Palace and contribute in the fun, which is a bit of a shame there. But more importantly, actually, it's great for us. I mean, it's absolutely profitable, beautiful victory, another 3 points in the bag, and just keep going up these levels as we've just been discussing, especially with Villa coming up at the weekend. So. Big smile on my face tonight.
Yeah, and the intensity was a thing we talked about. We wondered whether, not whether it was the right thing to be keeping the starting lineup, because they all deserve to be playing, but whether it was possible to keep that same level of intensity up 4 days after having that intensity against Manchester United. Boy, was it there tonight again.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's all about, really, I was saying about momentum earlier. It's really all about that momentum. When you're on a winning run and you keep that going, you just want to keep going and going, and you don't want the games to stop. And I think that's definitely how it feels just now, being a fan. But I'm pretty sure it probably feels the same way for the players and the staff. They just want to keep these games going, and they just want to keep this run going for as long as possible. Because, you know, when you're on a winning high, and Andy was pointing to this just a couple of minutes ago, your confidence is high, you feel great, there's that extra bit of energy about you, as Andy was saying, and you just want to make it all count. So onwards and upwards, really, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, look, I think you don't want the season to end. You just wish you were half a dozen games into this season. The way that things are going, you know, it's been an unbelievable season. To win a cup, to all of a sudden elevate yourself into third place in the Premier League. Looking at playing Champions League football again next season, I think if you had have offered that to the majority of Newcastle fans at the start of the season, honestly, they'd have snapped your hand off, you know. So long may it continue. I mean, it's great to watch. It's fabulous to be here to watch the intensity and the vigour that they're playing with, and the confidence that they're playing with at the moment. You know, some of the football they played, especially in that first half, was sensational. It really was. It was absolutely brilliant. The movement, bringing it out from the back, the confidence that they're playing with, everything you could ever want, it's just all there.
Anas, thank you very much. Going to leave it there. We're going to try and squeeze Andrew.
Cheers, Anas. Take it easy.
As well in just a second. But Anas, thank you for your call. Just briefly, Andrew, because you're talking about how good Newcastle were, particularly in the first half. Part of the conversation after Sunday was how poor Manchester United had been. I don't think there is really a conversation to be had about how poor Crystal Palace were. Yes, they gave the ball away a bit in the middle of midfield, but this was much more about how good Newcastle were.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I thought we were good at the weekend. You know, I know Manchester United were poor, but I thought we were good.
Both, yeah.
I thought we were sensational tonight. You know, I think Palace's away record, excuse me, has been excellent. But I don't think we let them get a foothold in the game at all. We didn't let them get into the game. We smothered them all over the pitch. We pressed high. We put their back five under all sorts of pressure. I thought we made them rush things. And when you're under that much pressure trying to play out and you're not comfortable doing it, you are going to give the ball away. But that's down to the intense pressure that they were put under during that opening 50 minutes or so. We were just brilliant.
Let's bring in Andrew then, who's been listening to that conversation as well. Evening, Andrew. We'll have another go. I don't know what you said. I don't know if Ando knows what you said, but what impressed you most? What were you happiest about tonight?
Yeah, I've got the best place stuff on
yeah. Well, Ando's doing very well because you're chuckling away as if you've understood what he said. I couldn't make out a word of what Andrew was saying, so you can.
He said we were great.
Oh, did he? Right. Yeah. Yeah, apologies, Andrew. And we've only got 3 or 4 minutes left of the programme as well. Can't quite make out what you were saying, but we'll get you back on Total Sport tomorrow night if you're available. I've got loads of messages to go through for the last 2 or 3 minutes of the programme as well before we will finish on the goals, the highlights from tonight. John Steele has sent us a message to say another incredible performance and result yet again. Tonali and Barnes outstanding. If Tyndall keeps this up, Eddie Howe might not get back in. Does John Anderson think Jacob Murphy crossed or shot? We were right behind it when he did it.
I think he shot.
So do I, must admit.
Yeah, I think he shot. The Tonali one I thought was a driven cross that just flew in. This one I think he meant to do that. I really do. I think he's just lashed it at that near post, and keeper's just power and it's just beating the keeper.
Because I know sometimes you do hit a cross as hard as you possibly can to try and sort of cause chaos, but it was so if it was a cross, it was so off target as a cross, and it was wildly hit that I don't think it was a cross.
I think it was a shot.
And we'll get to watch some replays at some point and see whether he looked up at the goal, whether he looked across, whether he did both. But yeah,
he just put his head down and got his knee over it, and he lashed it in that top corner.
Lovely message from Kathleen in Ashington. I wanted to read this out. Today's been amazing, says Kathleen. Newcastle won. It's my birthday, and my first grandson was born this morning.
Oh, congratulations.
Newcastle United winning tonight. The cherry on top of the icing of a cake of an absolutely fabulous day. Newcastle currently on fire. Loving watching them and listening to your commentary as well. Champions League, here we come, says
Be
Kathleen.
interested in picking a name for that, Babby.
Yes. Jacob. It's got to be Jacob, surely. Kathleen.
Tonali.
Or Bruno, there's so many options. Huge congratulations to you and your family, Kathleen, as well. And I'm delighted that you have all had such a wonderful day for so many different reasons as well. We've had a couple of messages about the penalty that Nick Pope gave away and then Eberechi just didn't kick properly. Brian in Gateshead says, tell Ando I'd be embarrassed if we got a penalty in that same situation. It's a contact sport. Yeah, I mean, it's a contact sport, but that doesn't mean you can.
Yeah, I still think if that had been at the other end, you probably would have wanted a penalty. I mean, I understand what Brian's saying. It is a contact sport, but when I say it's a contact sport, people say that it's not the contact sport that it once was.
No.
People fall down for absolutely nothing now, but I just think he shouldn't have given the referee that decision to make, because if he comes that distance, he's got to get the ball, and he didn't. No, and I my feeling is if an outfield player had done that, and obviously they're not going to be jumping and trying to punch the ball, but if an outfield player catches a player in the head, jumps for a header, catches him with his elbow and knocks him out the way, it probably is given as a foul as well. So yeah, I mean, it made absolutely no difference in the end, but it could have made a difference. To be fair, Desi, he did well to get the penalty to Pope. I mean, it was a good effort to get it there. It's so easy. It's a really kind of easy, flippant thing to say that it was a pass back of a penalty, but it wasn't even that. That was that wasn't even a pass back. Because what he's tried to do is he's stuttered and he's hoping that Nick Pope goes one way and all he has to do is roll it the other way. But Pope hasn't bought it, and it's turned out to be an awful penalty. It was shocking. Yeah, it was shocking. Let's read a few more of these messages. Gaz says, one thing the last 3 or 4 games has shown is how important Kieran Trippier still is for the team. When he's on fire, the whole team's on fire. Yeah, but everybody's on fire. Yeah. It's not just Kieran. He's been sensational since he's been here. Yeah, he had a little bit of a dip, but since he's come back in, since the injury to Hall, And since Livramento's gone to left back, Trippier's come back in, and he's been Mr. Consistent. He's been that player who organises stuff, who shouts and balls, uses all his experience, and plays it nice and simple. And his energy levels, especially in that first half, he just got in behind Mitchell all the time. He's been great, but they all have. They've all been brilliant.
And one of the luxuries tonight was taking players off. Now Trippier only came off with about 10 minutes to go, but Trippier, Joelinton, Bruno, Isak, Murphy, all able to be rested in inverted commas because Newcastle was so far clear. Another byproduct, another bonus of being so far ahead.
Yeah, they came out. They didn't look tired though. Coming on.
Joelinton was really unhappy at coming off. He was loving playing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can understand taking him off. You know, he's walking a tight line. You know, he picked up a yellow card in that last 10 minutes. It would have been ridiculous. So don't give the referee that option. Just get him out of there. But they didn't look tired. They looked like they were ready to go again.
I'm not sure anybody looked tired tonight.
I am.
It's quite hard to. You've got a short trip to Birmingham at the weekend.
I have to admit, looking forward to it.
Of course you are.
Really looking forward.
You are. John Anderson, thank you very much indeed for the long shift tonight. It's been a fabulous evening for Newcastle United at St James's Park. A 5-0 win over Crystal Palace. The goals coming from Jacob Murphy, a Mark Gahey own goal. Harvey Barnes and Fabian Schär made it 4-0 before half-time. Alexander Isak in the second half, making absolutely sure. We are back with Total Sport tomorrow night. Marco returns to talk Sunderland. Steve Howie will be on to talk Newcastle United. I'll be there as well. We're all back at 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
Kieran Trippier gets it onto Murphy. The chance to deliver. Murphy gives it. Oh, what a hit! Murphy has scored. Murphy from out on the right. It's like Tonali against Brentford all over again. Well, I'm not sure if he was going to cross or shoot. Just put his boot behind it, and Henderson was beaten at his near post, high towards the top corner, and Jacob Murphy's incredible run continues. He moves on to 9 goals this season, and most importantly, in the 14th minute, he gives Newcastle United the lead, 1-0 against Crystal Palace. Joelinton onto Livramento. They might get it here. Barnes with Isak in the middle. Barnes' cross goes in. Deflection beats Dean Henderson at the near post. Harvey Barnes will claim a 4th goal in 3 games, and Newcastle United, with a penalty saved by Nick Pope moments ago, have gone on the attack and got themselves a second. Bruno's ball, Tonali, Barnes wants it, Barnes gets it, left hand side, Isak in the centre, Barnes into the box, on the outside, Barnes scores, and this one's definitely his. Harvey Barnes, found by the ball, whipped over to the left, could have rolled it over to Isak, but a man in red hot form in front of goal has another. So do Newcastle. They lead Crystal Palace by 3 goals.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's unbelievable.
Let's see what ball they select. It's Trippier to Murphy. Lovely curling cross. Oh, yes. Fabian Schär. What a first half. Fabian Schär. Newcastle's 4th goal just before half-time. Wharton with a back pass slightly away from Richards. Square to Gay. Lacroix lost it to Joelinton. Isak surely! Isak! Yes! This time, Alexander Isak gets his goal. Newcastle forcing an error from Palace, just what they did to Manchester United on Sunday afternoon. And it's now 5, and Isak has 25 this season.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle. On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
Play BBC Radio Newcastle.
and on your radio.
The sound of the North East is BBC Radio Newcastle.